Kieran, in terms of the dependency issues that we were on just a few moments ago, what are your thoughts?
My thoughts are there's a danger here, and perhaps Titania and Colin will actually agree on something, that there's an area of prophesizing out there that is dangerous from a spiritual point of view. From my perspective as a psychologist, I know it's very easy for people to build up a reliance and to almost make decisions based on the information they're getting from a psychic, even from an astrology column to some extent. I've seen columns where they said, today Leos are going to be very suspicious, whereas Sagittarians are going to be your friends. And that minor sort of advice is a suggestion which is enough that it changes that person's behavior. And there are accounts from law enforcement agencies where psychics have used that same effect to say there's somebody suspicious around you, to then start to build up an income and build up that reliance.
We've been talking about, different ways of telling the future, and what about dreams? Because that's a whole area as well, Kieran, that a lot of people feel that they've been getting messages, shall we say.
And when you look at some of the biggest disasters, Titanic, for example, 9/11, Princess Diana, John F. Kennedy being assassinated, the majority of convincing evidence for those, in terms of prophetic prophecies, come from dreams. But a word of warning about that, in my opinion, I think we're merely dealing with coincidence, and I'll explain why. Dreams happen during the REM period, which is about 15 to 20 minutes, and on a normal night's sleep you can have 5 of those periods. Within one of those REM sequences you can have anything up to about 50 dream themes. So that means on one night you can have anything up to 250 dream themes. Now if you think about the population of the US, for example, 280 million, on one particular night you're up into 75,000 billion dreams. So for one person to say, I had a dream about a plane crash, and then a week later there is a plane crash, for me it's just coincidence. I'm not surprised that people have dreams that tie in to natural disasters. And we're dealing with stuff that Colin was mentioning in the break, that dreams, you only remember them as you wake up. So we're not remembering all of those dreams that we have in a night anyway.
What a lot we may be losing.
Exactly.
I appreciate we all dream all sorts of things, but for somebody to be able to say that they actually dreamt that John F. Kennedy would be assassinated
it's one of the most well-known or well-written about examples is Jean Dixon, who predicted, or claimed she predicted, the John F. Kennedy assassination. When you look at her actual prediction in 1956, she was asked about the 1960 election, and she said in the 1960 election, Labour's going to be strong and probably a Democrat will get in, and maybe in the first term there's going to be an assassination attempt and he may or may not be killed. Now that was the prediction. It wasn't who it was going to be. And even in 1960, when they were getting ready for the election, she's even on record as saying John F. Kennedy loses the election and doesn't get the presidency. So she's even saying, it could be the first term, it could be the second term, he might not be killed, it might be Democrat, might be Labour. Vagueness and ambiguity that we read into.
You had a prediction about is it a train crash?
Actually, all my life I've seen train crashes, yes.
Just train crashes?
And since I've been a Christian, actually terrorist bombings.
So what do you do about that?
Well, now I pray. I just pray.
What do you pray for? Because if it's a prediction that is going to happen, how do you pray? Can you pray, don't let it happen?
I actually pray for the safety of the nation. But that's what I feel is my role as a Christian who believes in God, that I
So you would believe that is an image or a prediction coming from God, and that you would then pray for the people who were potentially going to be caught up in that accident. Colin, what do you think about is it a good thing that we all know that, or is it a good thing to know the future? Is it something we should be actively seeking?
No, I don't think so. We're human beings who live our life day by day. The nature of things is that the future is not in view in a kind of regular, normal way, and that's good. There's a lot that I don't think it's right and healthy to try and find out. There's a fascination with it, which sometimes occult practitioners manipulate for gain or whatever, notoriety or what have you. And also, I suppose, too, some rather crazy preachers who want to make a name for themselves. But the point is that God has called us to live our lives responsibly day by day unto Him. There are times and occasions where God will give us a glimpse of something by way of supernatural knowledge, but it's always to address us and to lead us closer to Him. In terms of prediction, that is pretty rare, even amongst Bible prophecy. Most of the prophets of the Bible spoke not so much about the future, but they were speaking God's heart and mind into the current contemporary situation.
So that would be about today, as
Yes.
opposed to...
But there are times when it's necessary, for example, for the confirmation of, for example, who Jesus was as the Messiah, 332 prophecies, which show that He is who He claimed to be. So there's something like that. Occasionally, in my own experience, I'll have a fragment of information concerning future about an individual person. And like Dawn, I will concur with that. The first thing is to make it a matter of prayer, because you need to have wisdom as to how you handle that. And there are times when I find that it never interferes with a person's freedom of choice. So it's not about this is going to happen in, that's it, there's nothing you can do about it. Sometimes there's a situation that's arising and there's some time for you to reflect and to receive the wisdom of God through a situation. So it's much more help from God, not self-help, but help from God through a situation.
I've got to say, just for me, what you're talking to me about here is the reason that we're locked in this debate. For you, Colin, and for the church at large, any source of knowing outside of that condoned by the church is for you a rival source of knowing at jurisdiction.
You think we should know the future?
I think at times it's very important to get, for someone, whoever it may be that it will be a minister, and it may be that it will be a psychic, and I think a psychic is sometimes an easier person to talk to than a minister. But sometimes we need someone to get us through a bad crisis. And in answer to, are they good, are they bad, are they sort of, jiggling a string, ultimately, I truly believe that the people who are good at it are the ones with repeat business. I think mostly psychics work on word of mouth. It's very hard if you're constantly being bad at it to get plenty of business. And I really do believe that.
Dawn, a final comment from you.
So is yours, Colin. So is yours.
Business.
Sorry.
Business.
No, it's
just
a business.
A final comment. The
church buys your house.
All I would say
what would you like to say? Is it good to know the future?
I think it's completely unnecessary. I think that, if you have confidence and if you have a faith, whatever your faith may be, but, if you have faith, why not live in confidence, in truth?
Kieran, final comment from yourself.
I was delayed by about 3 or 4 hours getting here today. If I knew yesterday what I know today, would I have got on the plane?
Well, that's where we have to leave it for today. We hope we've given you food for thought. It just remains for me to thank all of our guests today and to say goodbye from everyone here. Do join us again for more Live Talk.